A very good morning to all the students of class ninth. And students, as we were doing the first chapter of your history, that is the French Revolution, and in this chapter we had finished three parts, and today we are going to start the fourth part, and this is the important part, that is the outbreak of the revolution. It means before this, whatever we have studied, we have just studied to know the background before the outbreak of the revolution. So now we will connect the topics which we have already covered, that why we studied those topics in flashback, and now we are starting the topic, the outbreak of the revolution. Now you will able to relate that what were the reasons and what were the factors and circumstances which led to the outbreak of revolution in France. So in the last few lectures, as we have read, and we have tried to understand the society of France before 1789. Before 1789, it means that is the old regime, all the feudal system which we are trying to understand. In that we had read about three states, and there was division of the society into three states, and there was discrimination among those states. And later on we had also studied how did the middle class suddenly emerged within the sections of the third state. That is, within the third state there were sections, and amongst those sections one section had emerged, and they were now educated, they had the means of income, as they were the merchants and they were traders, they were manufacturers. So they were now emerging as a third state. So it means they started now questioning and opposing the old regime and the discrimination amongst the states. So whatever the discrimination was going on according to the old regime, they had started opposing it now. Okay. And then we saw the role of philosopher is so important when we talk about French Revolution, as in bringing about awareness through some political phenomena, as they spread awareness among the common people who were uneducated, especially the third state. There people knew about the ideas of equality, freedom, justice, democracy, voting rights. What do we mean by equality? Okay, so all that was understood through the role of philosophers. And as we saw, now we'll go to the flashback where we saw that now Louis XVI was facing difficulty in managing various expenditure and expenses of his estates, so he thought of increasing the taxes. On hearing this, the people of the third estate were really angry, and they started we can say protest or demonstration against the king's rule. And that is the few of the important reasons when we are studying the outbreak of the revolution. So we are going to understand that now. So I'm continuing it from that flashback only, where Louis XVI has thought and decided to increase taxes for reasons you have learnt in the previous section. And the reasons we know, he was unable to manage the expenditure of his state, to manage his government offices, his universities, his people and other things. So it needed a lot of financial support. For that he had decided to increase the taxes. How do you think he could have gone about doing this? So how he would have increased the taxes? So there must be a procedure to do that. So we are going to study the procedure, entire procedure of that. So in France, the old regime, the monarch did not have the power to impose taxes according to his will alone. So in the old regime before 1789, in the old system, it was a rule that alone the monarch or the king was not allowed to impose or impose and implement taxes. Or rather, what he had to do, rather he had to call a meeting of States General, which could then pass his proposal for the new. So he had to call a meeting of State Generals. Okay. Then he had to pass a proposal for new taxes. Only if the decision was taken in this particular meeting, like we have our parliament, this was States General. Okay, this was an authorized we can say authority who took the decisions that whether the taxes should be increased or not. The States General was a political body to which three states sent an representative. So it's written here. If the question comes, what do you understand as State General? It was a political body of France. If you talk about the old regime, during the old regime, this was a political body, and which were the members of this States General. It means the three states sent their representative. It means three states: state one clergy, state two the nobilities, and the third we know they were divided into various sections: peasants, merchants, traders, big businessmen, laborers, all were included in the third state. So all of them sent their representatives in this meeting. However, the monarch alone could decide when to call a meeting, but it was the sole power of the monarch that he could decide or call a meeting of his body. The last time it was done on 1614. So the last meeting relating to taxes or any other issue the meeting of state general was called in 1614 and now it was 1789. So it was the power of the king. He can call the meeting, but the decision was to be taken by the state generals, okay, and which included all the three state representatives. So finally, on 5th May 1789, Louis XVI called together an assembly. So he called the assembly. Previously, it was called on 1614. After such a long gap, on 5th May 1789, Louis XVI had called the assembly of the States General to pass proposal. And what was to be decided about regarding the new taxes, that how the new taxes should be imposed on the third state. A resplendent hall in Versailles was prepared. So a hall in Versailles, you have read about this. It was a very big palace, was prepared to host the delegates. So this meeting was to be held in this palace, and a hall was prepared for that. The first and the second state sent 300 representatives each. So the first state, that is the clergies, and like we can write here, clergy sent 300 members, and nobilities or the nobles sent 300 members, and we can say third state, I'm writing third here, they sent overall 600. See, it's written here. The first and the second state sent 300 representatives each, 300 each, and 600 members of the third state had to stand at the back. It means the first and the second state sent 300 representatives each, who were seated in rows facing each other. It means 300 members of clergy and 300 members of nobility, they were sitting by facing each other on two sides of the hall, while 600 members of the third state, they were standing at the back. So we can see here the discrimination and disparities between these three classes, how the third state was always discriminated. The third state was represented by its more prosperous and educated member, but the 600 members who were representing the third state, those were members from the third state, the section we have known about, which were more prosperous and who were the educated members. It means the traders, merchants, or manufacturers only. Okay. Peasants, artisans, and women were denied entry to the assembly. Peasants, artisans, women of the third state, they were not allowed to enter the assembly. However, their grievances, whatever their demands and wishes were there, they were listed in around 40,000 letters, which were representatives had brought with them. So these 6,000 representatives had brought around 40,000 letters with them, where they had listed their demands and desires. Okay. First of all, before we move forward, here we can see the discrimination. This population, that is the third state, they were around 90% of the population who belonged to the third state, and this belonged only 10% of the population. But if you see the number of representatives, they had three representatives, but only 10% of the population was of we can say the first class or the second state, clergies or the nobilities, and they consisted of 90% of the population, but they got only representation only of 600. This was also discriminatory in nature, clearly we can see here. But apart from that, we will see further. Voting in state general in the past had been conducted according to the principle that each state had one vote. But previously, we'll see the system and the procedure which they followed. Here they said that each state is going to have a one vote. Okay, if the king asks the taxes should be increased or not, clergy will say yes. It means one vote. Nobilities will say yes, one vote. It means the vote of third state doesn't matter. If they say yes, it's okay. If they even say no, still the rule according to the majority, the decision will be taken. The decision will be taken according to the majority. It means whatever the clergies and nobilities are saying, that system will be followed. It means the individual voting was not there, but as a whole group, as a representative of three, they had to give a single vote. It's written here. Voting in the state general in the past had been conducted according to the principle that each state had one vote. This time too, Louis XVI was determined to continue the same practice. So Louis XVI was now following the same practice, but members of the third state. But this time the member of the third state, as they become more aware now, and the more educated and prosperous merchants, traders, who knew about the world, who were more influenced by the philosophers now, so they demanded that the voting now be conducted by the assembly as a whole. But now the election should be conducted as a whole, where each member would have of one vote. It means these 600 people will vote separately. These 300 votes will be counted separately and these 300 votes will be counted separately. ऐसा नहीं होगा कि इन्होंने एक वोट दे दिया, इन्होंने एक वोट दिया. Now as a whole everyone individually will vote against or in favor. This was one of the democratic principles put forward by the philosophers, and this idea was learned by the third state from the philosophers. When we told them that what do we mean by right to vote or a democratic government, freedom, equality, now they were more aware. So they started questioning and opposing things. So this was one of the outcome and the influence of the philosophers like Rousseau in his book Social Contract. When the king rejected the proposal, members of the third state walked out of the assembly in protest. Now they had started protesting. When the king did not listen to them, they did not follow the system. King denied that voting will be done by the old system. This new system of voting will not be allowed. In that, all the people of the third state, they stood out and they walked out of the assembly in protest. They started protesting against the king, where they wanted that every member of this should have their individual vote, not as a whole as a third state, or an all or whole as a nobility, or as a whole as a this church. Here the representatives of the third state. Now all the representatives who are the 600 members, they viewed themselves as spokesmen of the French nation. Now they thought that they are the spokesperson, they are working for the good of the France, especially for the third state. On 20th June, they assembled in the hall. So finally, this meeting, now they met again on 20th June, as the first meeting was called on 5th May, and after May, again they walked out of the hall, as I have told you, on 5th May. Then they again assembled here on 20th June. They assembled in the hall in an indoor tennis court. There was a hall, and that was an indoor tennis court in the grounds of Versailles. Again, the palace is same, but now they are in the indoor tennis court. They declared themselves National Assembly. Now these 600 members, or the members of the third state, they declared themselves as a National Assembly who were protesting against the king, and swore not to disperse. And swore means kasam lena. They swore not to disperse till they draft the constitution for France. They will draft a constitution for France and would limit the powers of a monarch. Now they are going to put the balance and check on the powers of the monarch, that is the king. Now everything will not be done by the king according to the will of the king. Now there will be sharing of power, as the power was centralized in the hands of the king, but now the powers will have to be shared. This was the idea behind this protest, where they called themselves as the National Assembly, and they swore that we are not going to go anywhere from this place till we draft a constitution, and that constitution will put a check and balance and limit the power of the king. They were led by Mirabeau. Now these 600 members, the members of the third state, they were also held by and led forward by Mirabeau and Abbasis. So these two names you have to remember. Who was Mirabeau? Let's see. Mirabeau was born in a noble family. So he was a noble. In spite of being a noble, he was helping out this third state, as he also believed that this was discriminatory and these people were suppressed a lot. But convinced to need to do away with the society of feudal privileges. They wanted to finish this feudal system going on in the France. He brought out a journal and delivered powerful speeches to the crowd assembled at Versailles. So he read out and gave many speeches to the crowd which was assembled in the tennis court in Versailles, and all those people were from the third state. Okay, so he was like motivating the people of the third state that they were on the right path. This is the picture of the tennis court. You can see their leader standing on the table here, and all are pointing towards him. See, this is the crowd of the people of the third state, and they were being supported by two men I have told you, Mirabeau and Abbasis. And Abbasis originally a priest. He was a priest. It means we can say he was a clergy. He wrote an influential pamphlet called What is the Third State. He wrote various pamphlets and articles regarding the third state, where he made people more aware about their rights, their freedom. Okay, so these two individuals who belong to the clergy and nobility, they were helping this third state, as they realized that this feudal system should come to an end now. While the National Assembly was busy at Versailles drafting a constitution, as National Assembly it means the people belonging to or members of the third state, they were busy and they had swore that we will not move out from this Versailles or from the tennis court till we draft the constitution. So they were busy there, but the rest of the people of the third state, as 90% population was of the third state, but the rest of the people in France seated with turmoil. There was situation of unrest. Okay, there was disturbance all around. A severe winter had meant a bad harvest, because there was winters and severe conditions that led to the bad harvest, and that to the low production of the crops, because of which the prices of the bread rose. And often and some bakers took the advantage of this situation, where they hoarded the supplies. Okay, they stock up the supplies, and the price rise was there of the basic bread which was required by each and every one of the third state. After spending hours in long queues, so their females, males, all were waiting there in the long queues to get the bread, and the prices were so high there. Crowds of the angry women. Now the women had stormed into the shops. Women had went to the shops. They broke out the shops. At the same time, the king ordered troops. When this situation was going on in the city at this time, to control the people of the third estate and to control the situation, the king, the monarch, Louis XVI, he ordered his troops to move into Paris. He orders the army or the troops to move into the Paris on July 14. Now you will have to relate this thing. We have started this chapter, we had started an event or the incident which has taken place in the city of Paris, where people, angry mob of people, they had destroyed the Bastille fort. Okay, this is the same thing. That is why we had started in flashback. Now you will come to know that why people were so angry, what were the reasons, what were the circumstances in the cities, and why king had ordered to control the people in the Paris. So on 14th July, this angry mob, angry group of militia of people, they stormed and destroyed the Bastille. And this incident you have studied when we started the chapter on the very first page. That is why I told you we are starting with a flashback. So now you must have understood why on 14th July the angry group or the mob had stormed and destroyed the Bastille, which was a jail. So this is the reason where people were so angry with the rule of the king, because he was increasing the taxes. Also, there was so much discrimination among the various three states, and the taxes were to be paid by the third state only, where the member states of the third state that called themselves as the National Assembly, they were busy framing the constitution. Rest of the people of the third state, they were not happy because there were prices were high of the basic goods or the commodities because of the bad harvest, which led to the angry women's storm into the shops. And to control all these people, troops were sent by the king. And finally this incident happened, where the people thought that how they would face these troops, so they required arms and ammunition, and so they destroyed the Bastille, which was a jail, on 14th July 1789. So this incident we have studied in the beginning of the chapter. So I think you can relate and correlate the topics now. In the countryside, rumors spread from village to village. Now in the countryside, that is on the village, we had talked about Paris, but the same situations were prevalent in the village areas also, countryside, where from one village to other village there were rumors spreading that lots of manor had hired bands of brigands. Are the people thought that landlords had hired some people who were going to destroy the ripe crops of these third state people. So before they could destroy their crops, these third state peasants and farmers and laborers, they caught in the frenzy fear. They were terrified. Peasants in several districts seized hoes and pitchforks and attacked chureks. Chureks are the, we can say, palaces of the big landlords or nobles. So here the farmers, peasants, laborers, they started attacking these palaces of the big landlords. They looted, hoarded grains. Okay, so the farmers, peasants, they hoarded grains, they looted grains, they burned down the documents. They also burned the documents which were containing records of the dues, whatever dues were there which the peasants had to pay. They burnt all those important documents. A large number of nobles fled from their homes. So many nobles or big landlords, they flew and they went to the other neighboring countries in the case they wanted to survive, because here the situation has gone out of control, where peasants thought that these landlords are going to destroy their crops and productions in their fields. But before this could happen, they in fact attacked all the nobles and their palaces. Faced with the power of his revolting subjects, now faced with the power of revolting subjects were the people of the third estate. Now Louis XVI realized that their revolting strength was too powerful and he was unable to control the people. So Louis XVI finally decided and accepted the National Assembly. Okay, so now Louis XVI said, okay, I recognize this National Assembly and I also accept the principles that his powers would from now on be checked by the Constitution, and his powers will be controlled and checked by the Constitution, which was being framed by the National Assembly or the people of the third estate in the tennis court on the Palace of Versailles. Okay, so because so much of destruction, so much of unrest and turmoil was going on in the city and countryside, finally Louis XVI was forced, where he accepted the National Assembly and their recommendations, and also he accepted that he will be checked, his powers will be checked according to the Constitution which the National Assembly was framing. So on the night of 4th August 1789, so on the night, the Assembly passed a decree abolishing a feudal system. So on the night of 4th August night, same year 1789, Assembly had said that we are going to abolish feudal system. Feudal system means as the society was divided into 3 states, in which where there was so much of discrimination and taxes were paid by the third state only. All that was abolished of obligation and taxes. Members of the clergy too were forced to give up their privileges, or the privileges which were given to the clergies and nobles by birth. All those were privileges were suspended now. Each and everyone was equal. People understood the meaning of freedom, equality, voting rights, etc. now. Teeth, which was a sort of a tax which clergies used to charge from the peasants, that was abolished now. Land owned by the church, whatever land which was captured and owned by the church, that was confiscated and handed over to the state. As a result, the government acquired, so in after that night, it means the government acquired assets of around 2 billion livres, because all the taxes were taken back. Clergies had to return all the land they had taken from the state or from the peasants. It means around the property costed around 2 billion livres. This is a map of the France. You can see Paris, where this incident has started. This is Paris. These are the areas where we call, these are the countrysides. Okay, and here these are the arrows are showing the spread. It's written here, the spread of the Great Fear. The map shows how bands of peasants spread from one point to another, how peasants moved from one place to another and attacked the palaces and forts or the buildings of the nobles or the kings. Okay, this is the location given by that. Okay, so with that we come to this important topic, and in the next topic we'll start the next topic, that is next lecture we start this France became a constitutional monarchy. This we'll discuss in the next lecture.